So, good morning, everybody. Excellent. I'm Joe Coppard, and thank you very much, Richard and Renee and House of Radon and Creative Mornings for inviting me here on this pretty special Creative Mornings. So it's the theme is tech and arts, and it's a really exciting theme, I think, for this global kind of network. And John Maider's work that he's been doing at Rhode Island School of Design is a really fantastic thing to sort of shine light on this space between technology and arts. And lucky enough, it's a space that I've been working in for the last 8 years or so. So that's what I'm going to talk about today, is my work. So through the work that I've done, I've kind of pulled out and focused on 3 major sort of themes, really, or kind of topics or elements between this space between kind of art and technology. The first of which is this. And by this, I mean interaction. So interaction, kind of these days, more and more with agencies calling themselves interactive agencies, and computers becoming sort of the main space to be creating interactive experiences. It's really shifted from screaming about birds landing on your head to kind of moving boxes around the screen. And the way that I was kind of brought into design and art and technology was through interaction and really trying to connect to people, with other people and other things, and really trying to appeal to their senses and to their emotions and to their empathy. So what I'm going to do is then talk through my projects at the same time as using these kind of main themes. The first of which is a series of events that I ran in London at the Institute of Contemporary Arts, which is a big art space in central London. And at the time I was working with these 2 lovely gentlemen, Jimmy Merris and Jack Day, and we had a collective called Pat and Trevor, and we did lots of different events in basement spaces, in art galleries, in agencies, really kind of pushing. For me, the main thing was really pushing this idea of interaction and bringing people together to sort of experience this interaction. So what I'm going to show you is this thing, which is called the sound bed. This is actually a video I found yesterday of me back at school. The designer who built this is an amazing guy called Vasco. His website is just there. And we installed this in the bar space of this huge Institute of Contemporary Arts. And what was quite amazing or quite interesting is that we left it there. We didn't sit on it or interact with it at all. We just left it there. It was the only thing that had any sound connected to it in the whole room. And for about 3 hours, nobody went near it. They just sort of respected this bed on a stage. And then finally, one girl went up and sat down on this bed, and suddenly the whole room kind of went crazy with noise. It was actually a lot noisier than that. And then within 20 minutes, it was broken because everyone jumped on it, and everyone started getting kind of intimate with the bed and with each other and really experimenting with themselves and their bodies and with this sort of interaction. So the next kind of theme is this, which is collaboration. And this is a wonderful illustration by a guy called Andy Ramenta, which is a kind of the slightly darker side of collaboration. But I see collaboration as a really kind of important tool, really. It's really the center of what bringing together art and technology, sort of two disciplines. And I see sort of specialists working together as a really powerful way to innovate and to learn. It's a bit like, I always find it the best way to kind of teach and to learn at the same time. You have this kind of symbiotic relationship. And the project that I spent a lot of time curating, focused on collaboration, is a project called This Is Why We Meet, which was commissioned by Wieden and Kennedy, and in collaboration with the University Arts London, which is the biggest art school network in Europe, and Nokia. And this was curated by me and one of the guys from Pat & Trevor, Jimmy Merris, and a wonderful woman called Laura Vent, who's a curator and was working with Wieden and Kennedy at the time. And what we did is we really focused on what is this thing called collaboration? What happens when you put 4 people into a space for a week and give them a kind of budget and a theme? So we brought 4 people from each of the different schools at University Arts together. This is Camberwell College of Arts. And they had the space of Wieden and Kennedy. I don't know if you guys know London or East London at all, but they have a really amazing space just off Brick Lane with a huge window. And at the time, they had a huge window on the other side as well. So we gave these teams this space and got them to create interactive installations. So this was a really exciting time for me because it was a real kind of shining a big light on this thing of collaboration itself, looking at the process rather than the kind of outcomes. And we got a really nice budget from Nokia and from Wieden and Kennedy, and we involved, there were over 26 artists and designers working together on this. We got lots of press coverage, and it was really a really exciting time to collaborate itself. And the third kind of element that I bring into my work and that I'm really interested in is this. I don't know. I suppose this is a perfect illustration for it, but it's something that I think is at the root of all kind of creativity and at the root of sort of humanity in itself, which is play. Now, play kind of precedes culture in lots of ways. Animals play before they do anything else. Babies play before they do anything else. And it's the sort of a sacred space that you can't really describe too detailedly, but when you see it, you know exactly what it is. So that's the kind of third cornerstone in my philosophy. And this is a project that illustrates that somewhat, which was actually built and exhibited in Stockholm at the Grolsch Block Party, which happened last summer, where I created an interactive installation with light in the basement of this arts and music space. And here's a short video. Can anybody work out how that works? It's a really sort of analog process. And what it is photoluminescent paint, so glow-in-the-dark paint painted onto a wall in a dark space with camera flash, which I really enjoy interaction that's incredibly simple, and the magic that this kind of tech and art space I see in that sort of interaction, in that kind of, in the flashes of light, really. So this was a really interesting project for me, and something that was great to be able to do in Stockholm. And we also taught it to Berg School of Communication, which is where I teach interactive communication there. And I really have brought all of these philosophies and sort of principles into the things that I'm teaching. So through that teaching and through being in Stockholm, I've basically just been working as this man has been, and trying to sort of work out how it can be brought together somehow. How these kind of poetic and meaningful and sort of essential elements of humanity and of design and of art can be kind of brought together and brought into line somewhat and be explained to people and be kind of given energy and money to. And the thing that I've really, the way that I've been able to describe it and sort of put some kind of practical use onto it is through prototyping. So this is just a screenshot of a Kinect interactive installation where this guy, for some bizarre reason, wants to superimpose a blue bra onto his naked chest, which I think is kind of weird, but I think also kind of weird things are kind of important as well. And I think with technology these days, we have the potential to prototype things very quickly and share them with lots of people very quickly and get feedback. And some things might work and some things might fail. But prototyping is really a way that we can kind of see what happens. So then I've been lucky enough to meet some really brilliant people in Stockholm. And together with three of them, we've built this thing called Protothon, which is a space for the place between code and creativity. The three people are Johan Nilsson, who is a fantastic programmer and developer, Peter Svensson, who is also a fantastic programmer and developer, and they sort of represent the sort of tech side of things. And then Clara Tern, who is one of the best illustrators and designers in Stockholm and in the world. And so together we've really, our team form this kind of, this hybrid between arts or design and communication and technology. So yes, I give you Protothon. And with Protothon, we've been able to articulate these kind of passions and ideas and bring them into a kind of environment, into a kind of playground, I suppose you could call it, which is a kind of is a 12-hour event, a very intense event where we bring together teams of 4 people, half of which are these kind of creative, artistic designer types, and half of which are these more creative developer, programmer types. And the first event we held was at Berg School of Communication, focusing on Spotify apps. And this was a really kind of amazing and successful event. And then after that, we were talking to Google, as you do, and they really got interested and excited about this kind of way of working in this sort of the potential that Protothon provides. And they have this new thing called WebRTC, which is a protocol, a web protocol, which really is a game-changing audio-visual sort of platform, which is real-time communication. So it's essentially like Skype, but in a browser that you can hack with JavaScript. So we've been working with Google to create to create examples of what can be done with WebRTC. And I think this is I think this is my favourite example, which is a hack called WeBlend, which is really quite an elegant and simple interactive installation, but created from one browser to another. So, I mean, really taking the principles of interaction and then adding the internet, and you can start connecting with people in whole other lands. Puzzleable represents the sort of game. The game, for some reason, everyone else just developed games. It's really interesting. It kind of goes back to this idea of play being a sort of principal way of communicating, because games work. People get involved with them and they get really excited and start playing. So Puzzleable, which is this kind of old school puzzle where you have to relocate the bricks to create an image, but in live audio-visual form. And I suppose the best thing about doing events like these is being able to bring people together, people from across the world. The guy on the right is a guy called Trey from Hyper Island, who was an oil broker in Singapore before he decided to come and do a year in interactive communication. Hayden is a really fantastic interactive designer from London. And we got all sorts of other people from Boston, from California, from Germany, to come into a space for this 12-hour kind of intensive period, and to explore, arts and tech together. So the future and prototyping it. So this is kind of what I propose to you, is that arts and tech is really vital, and as John Maida is saying, this is the kind of space where innovation is really possible and really should be focused on. But I see prototyping as a way of being able to harness these ideas and actually being able to create kind of practical outcomes with them and collaborations and this kind of environment. And this gives me a chance to talk about our new project, which, funnily enough, is called Prototyping the Future. And it's a big project with IBM, which is just got underway, where we will be not just taking one particular protocol, but we'll be taking the whole planet and creating 11 different working prototypes of how we could potentially envisage a kind of brighter future for us all. So I'll leave you there. Thank you very much.